Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video we will take a look at copying components and bodies. I wanted to make this tutorial because deciding whether to copy a component or a body can be quite confusing sometimes, especially for people who are just starting with Fusion 360. I will do my best to give you all the information that you need, and hopefully by the end of this video you will know if you should copy a component or a body, the difference between the copy types such as paste and paste new, what other tools we can use to create a copy and what type of copy they are creating. We also check out limitations, how to recognize a copy type, and I'm also going to give you some pro tips along the way. But before we continue, I just want to remind you to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get a notification every time I'm releasing a new video. So let's begin. In this example here, as you can see, I've got two sub-assemblies. The one is copy component and the other one is copy bodies. The first one we're going to start with is the copy component. Inside you can see I have the plate and I also have the screw. So what I want to do now is I want to copy and paste the screw because I want to make more than one. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on it and then hit the copy. The second thing we need to figure out is where we want to paste it, under which subassembly or component. Right here we can see our root component or subassembly. It's activated, which means that if I'm going to hit the Control V, it's going to be directly paste underneath this one here. And I've made this mistake many times before, and I'm sure that you also did that. So you also have to be aware which component is active at that time, which is also why in Fusion we have rule number 1, always activate the component that you're working on, which is also include the sub-assemblies. So if I want to paste it under copy component sub-assembly, then I need to make sure that this one is active. Second thing is you can also right click, for example, on the root component, if this is where you want to paste it, and then you can paste it there. Okay. Now, so I know that's where, and it's going to be under the subassembly copy component. So I'm going to right click, and here you can see I got two options. I have the paste and paste new. So we're going to see now which option gives me what. So we start by paste. And so here we can see we pasted, we got a new component, and we also have the move tool. So I can move it wherever I want. So I'm just going to place it right here for a moment, and I'm going to hit OK. Now let's try and do another paste, but this time we're going to use the paste new. Again, we got the move command, and now I can paste it right here in the middle. I'm going to capture the position and click OK. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see it better, and I'm just going to hide the plate. So this one it's paste and this one is paste new. Now many times there are situations where you want to keep identical copy and you want to make sure that if you make a change, it's going to apply to all the copies. So let's figure out what happened if I'm making a change to the original copy, or the original, component. So I'm just gonna turn this one, I want to turn it, instead of a flat-headed screw, to something else. So I'm just going to select this face here, and I'm going to hit the delete. Okay, so as you can see, the one that we pasted, the first one, also got affected, but the one in the middle, which is paste new, wasn't affected, which means that when we're doing a paste new, we are creating an identical instance, but it's not connected, or as I like to call it, linked. So paste new, it's unlinked, and paste is linked. Okay. Now there is a way to also recognize a copy type. If, for example, you have many copied components and you want to know which one are linked to which components, and if some of them maybe are not linked, but it's only working with components. So you can go to tools and go to components color cycling toggle. Okay, so when I click on this, as you can see now, these two, the original and the second one that I copy, so I pasted, they have the same color. Okay, so this is how you can recognize that these two are actually linked to each other, and this one here in the middle is not, because it's got its own color that also tells us that it's unlinked. Okay, so this is also another way of recognizing it. In this example, it's quite bad because there are only few, so it's very easy to distinguish. But in case that we have many copies, this is where it can be very handy. So now we know the difference between paste and paste new. Now, what are there other types, or okay, say tools, which creates copies, and what type of copies they are creating? So we start with using, I'm just gonna go back. Let me just bring this one back to normal. So we have only one screw. Now what I'm gonna do is, so we know we can right click and then choose paste or paste new. Next, what we're going to do is we can create a pattern. A pattern also is a copy of a component, but it's placed in a specific pattern. In this case, we are going to copy this component and I want to put it on a pattern around this circle. I'm going to add another one. So we have 4 copies and click OK. So now the question is, so what kind of copy version I've created? Is it linked or unlinked? So as before, what you can do is you can go to tools and we can check the components color cycling. This is one way of identifying. So as you can see, they all got the same color, which means they're all linked. But I can also identify it by going to one of them. It doesn't matter which one, because we know that they are linked. Select the face, for example, on this one here. And if I delete it, as you can see, it's been deleted everywhere because it's the same one, essentially. Okay, it's identical. Now, what about we have another option to create a copied component. We can use the move command. So if I'm going to bring up the move command, from here I'm going to choose component. I'm going to go to my first one, and then you can see right here below in the dialog box we have create copy. So I'm going to choose this one and I'm going to move it somewhere in the center, or maybe I'm going to use the point to point. So I'm going to go right here, choose this point, and I want it right here in the center. So we're saying, okay, I want to create a copy. I don't want another copy, because each move that you're clicking here creates a new copy. Okay, so we do that and we hit OK. So now we have our, you can say fifth or sixth, fifth copy. Now let's check again what type of copy we have just created. So we know it's the one on the center. Again, I'll go to the tools and component color. And what do you know? The move command also creates a linked copy. Good. So now we have covered the normal paste new, and we also cover the other tools that we can use to create copies. And now we know that when you are working with components, they are all producing linked copies. Now we can move on and check out the body copies. So So let me just zoom out, and I'm going to activate the copy body subassembly. So we're going to start by doing the same thing. I'm going to go under the screw component. I'm going to right click on the body itself and create copy. Now again, we need to make sure that we are on the right place, which means before we pasting. Because if I'm going to do a paste right now, it's going to paste it under the subassembly, not under the screw component. So I need to make sure that our screw component is active. So now I can do a Control V, and we just pasted one of them. And like before, that's okay. I'm not going to do anything more. I'm just going to keep it as it is. Click OK. So now we have the original and the copy. Now we need to figure out, okay, what kind of a copy we have just created. So again, in this case, the component color cycling is not going to work because it's for components, okay? But what we can do is test it again as before. I can go to let me just hide this one. I can go to one of them and select a face and try to make a change. And as you can see here, our paste created unlinked copy, which means I've made a change for one and it didn't apply to the other one. Now, what if I'm going to do a right click and let's see what kind of paste option we have. So as you can see, we have only one option, only one paste option, where under the components, we had two options, paste and paste new. So that means that in body's case, if you want to copy, when you're copying a body, so we have one option and this is unlinked. Okay, so what about if I'm going to create, for example, use a pattern? If I'm going to pattern a body, what kind of a copy type we're going to get? Is it linked or unlinked? So from here, we're going to choose bodies. And I'm going to choose my first one. I'm going to do exactly the same as before. And I'm going to create it 4. Okay, so let's try again. I'm going to take one of them. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to go with this face right here. Let me just hide the plate and zoom out. And I'm going to hit the delete. And again, it affected only this body, but the rest wasn't affected. Okay, so again, also in this case, it's creating only unlinked copies, and that goes the same for the move command. If we're going to use the move command, we're going to get the same results. So that means that if you copy a body and you want to create a link between them, it's not going to be possible. But there is a way to go around it. So let's just say, okay, I don't need a component. I just need the body itself. But again, I want to have the ability to make change to all the copied bodies. So what I'm going to do in this situation, and it also can apply to the components when we create a paste new component, which is unlinked. So what can we do in this situation? In that situation, it's very simple. We're going to use the timeline. We go to the timeline and we move it before the copy. Okay, this is the copy, this is the move, and this is the pattern. So what we're going to do now, we're going to make the change that we want. I'm just going to zoom in, hit the delete, and then we can move forward again in the future. Right now, because we just going to delete this one, doesn't matter, because like we did it twice. That's why we got this error. So as you can see, because we went back, we made a change to the original, then we move again to forward in the future. Now it affects all the rest of the copies. So that's how you're dealing with unlinked copies. So remember that trick. And that's something that unfortunately quite many people don't still understand how to use the timeline. And sometimes I'm seeing people doing these kind of copies and they don't understand why if they make a change to one, for example, a piece of the bodies, it doesn't affect the rest of them. So this is why, especially when you're working with bodies, if it was a component, you know what would have happened. Now, so we know the two types. We have paste and paste new in relation to components. We know some limitation between them, and we also know how to recognize the copy types. Now, there is another situation that you need to consider when if you should create a copy the component, or you should copy a body, and that is in relation to drawings. In case you want to create drawings from sub-assembly or the whole assembly or something like that. So let's see what happened in situation where we using drawings for components that are linked and bodies that are not linked. So we start by right click on the copy component subassembly, and I'm going to choose create drawing. Keep it standard. And I'm going to go right here and choose 1 to 1, and I'm going to change the view to northeast and put it right here and hit OK. Now, many times you want to create a boom structure or boom table, and you want to get all the information nicely on the table, where you can see also the quantity, how many pieces of screws you have. So in this case, as you can see, it calculated automatically and we have 5. Let's try the second one. We go to our bodies that we have copied right here, and we do the same. We create drawing, click OK. We go to scale 1 on 1 and northeast, and we put it right here and click OK. Create a new table. We put it right here. So as you can see, in the copying body situation, we see only one. That means that the drawings doesn't calculate bodies, okay, or doesn't count bodies. Even though we have all of them right here, we can also see them, but it doesn't count them. Cannot see them. It cannot see them because of that. So the drawings only counts a component. So this is something, another thing you have to think about before you're making a decision, if you should copy a component or should copy a component. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's new or not, it's still going to count on because it's a component. But whether if you should copy and only use the body, because if you are going to copy only the bodies and you want afterwards to create a drawing and you would like to count the quantities, then you're not going to get anything, because drawings doesn't count bodies, only components. So this is something very important that you have to take into account. Okay. Yeah, so this is about the drawings. So these are all the basic information that you need to know regarding copying components, copying bodies, linked copies and unlinked copies. I have created a table. I'm going to put a link in the description that hopefully can help you, very easily to understand which option maybe you should go for. For example, right here, as you can see, divided by 2 areas. We have the components and bodies. So we know paste Control V. If it's linked, yes, yes, yes. And then we have also the paste new, which is no, it's not linked. And again, for the bodies, as we know, we just tested, none of them are linked, which means we're going to have to use the timeline in order to affect all the other copies. So I'm just going to put it there. You're going to find the link in the description. You can find it, you can download, you can do whatever you want with it. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. If you have any comments or questions, then please write it down in the comments area, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.